Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Chat Network, your first stop for pop culture talk. I'm your host, Niko, and joining with me today, as always, my co-host, Chris. How's it going?
Hey, not too bad. How are you?
I'm good. Ready to talk about another week of comics here. Looking forward to it. This is episode 214. Make sure to like and subscribe, as always. And make sure to check out some of the other videos that have been dropping this past week too. I've been dropping a lot of different videos for other shows we do here on the YouTube channel. We've been kind of putting out our top 10 lists for our favorite movies that came out in 2025. And I think our top 10 favorite TV shows will be out later this week, that video. And we've been kind of put out a couple more trailer reaction videos and our movie review videos. So a lot of movie related content had come out this past week. And then there's TV shows later this week. And all these top 10 lists videos, which are always a lot of fun to do. And then our version of that, of course, if you guys missed it, last month before the end of before the new year, we put out our Comic Shop Talk Awards, which is basically our best of type of show that we do here on the channel. So make sure to check all that stuff out. We got all of our playlists updated here. If you look at our playlist on the YouTube channel, today we're going to be talking about the new comics for the week of January 21st, 2026. And spoiler warning, as always, be forewarned, we are going to be getting into what happens in the books here and showing off some of the art. So if you're worried about getting spoiled, you can always read your books and then come back another time. Also, I should mention, after this video comes out, if you check the feed, you should also be seeing a new episode for comic book solicitations that are going to be coming out for the April of 2026. That's where me and Chris, we discuss the things that we're looking forward to picking up when the new comic book solicitations come out. So that's like where all the companies tell you the new books that they'll be coming out with in a few months, because you got to pre-order ahead of time. At least some comic shops do. It's a good opportunity to talk comics, upcoming comics, what we're thinking of things that are currently coming out or soon to be coming out. Those are always good episodes. Make sure to check those out. And sometimes they'll give you a better idea to kind of what to pick up as well. All right, Chris.
All right, let's talk comics.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. First up on the docket here this week, we got Inglorious X-Force #1. We got a bunch of new X-Men #1s here for you. We love it. We love to put ourselves through this. Well, only for you guys. After all our bitching and complaining about the X books, here we are reading all the new ones here, at least trying them out. What'd you think of this, Chris?
Yeah, I had some high hopes for this. I was hoping to be something, well, maybe not something special, but at least something interesting. It started out okay. I think you already have Cable in his own time there, and he's trying to stop the assassination of the president. I guess he goes back in time or whatever he does, whatever he always body sliding. And he puts together his team. I know they're the strongest team that he could have put together, but either way, I think who's in this team? It's what, Halverine, I don't know why Archangel's on this team. He just kind of picks him up out of nowhere. Boom Boom.
Yeah, she's fun.
She's fun. Yeah, that's pretty much the only character I was really looking forward to reading. And I'm almost like Cable out there, but yeah, this didn't work for me. Of course, they freaking shoehorn Camilla Khan in there somehow. That's my favorite Marvel trope. She seems to. I guess the spoiler at the end is that she's the president that Cable was trying to save.
Yeah, she's supposed to be.
I think I had this on my pull list and it didn't come in, and I'm not too sad that it didn't.
I liked this about up to the point where Kamala Khan came into the picture. I hate to hate on her. I don't want to, but I haven't loved her since she's joined like the X-Men, since they've decided that she's a mutant as well as an Inhuman, because the Inhumans weren't very popular when they tried to go that route. And then ever since then, I feel like they've been having trouble trying to find a spot to use her, honestly. And they keep shoehorning her in, as Chris alluded to. I was all good with the X-Force team. I thought the people involved were cool. I'm like, okay, here's another X-Force team. Why not? You know, Archangel's been in it frequently. Boom Boom was fun to see. Helverine, which is Dakin now. I don't know. I don't really care too much about that. You know, Cable's always cool. So I was down with this. But then, yeah, the Kamala Khan thing happened. And then I was like, at least they're going somewhere different with the story, because she herself was like, this doesn't make sense. Like, I don't approve of this team. And like, it made all the sense of the world. They're like, why is this person? I thought she was going to be part of the team there. But then it turns out like his mission is just to protect her. So that at least makes a bit more sense. But yeah, this is the Kill Squad. Like, to have them out on this mission seems like, for your opening arc, I'm out. Like, that's like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not down with this after I felt like, at least they tried to make an attempt at making an interesting story out of it. But like, I just feel like that is like editorially driven, the fact that she's part of this book. Like, it seems like they keep trying to put her in books where I feel like the tone isn't right for the character. Like, it's really strange that she's showing up, whether or not they made like an interesting story attempt out of it or not. I don't feel like she should be in the X-Force book, at least like in this capacity, even as somebody that they need to save. It's weird. And yeah, I'm not here for it. Yeah. What'd you give this?
3.25.
I'll give it a 3.5. I didn't hate it. I'm not interested in the story they're telling here, but I think as a comic it was fine. So I'll give it a 3.5. Rogue number 1.
No Carrie Andrew covers. No bueno. I thought this was an Uncanny X-Men comic for the first, 90% of it, until they kind of get to the story why Rogue's going to be on her own. And who was like Erica Schultz wrote this. I guess she got some tips from Gail Simone, because there's my other next favorite trope. There is Rogue and Gambit chit chatting all the time, and it just drives me up the wall. Well, okay, well, if you want to talk about the story there, I don't know what the heck what's going on in the beginning. I think they're fighting some sort of, I don't know, whatever that thing is, trying to save an airport, and I guess they really go out of their way to show that Rogue's the leader of this team and she's giving everybody grief. But whatever. Yeah, I don't even want to talk about this story. But she has some memories now of Sabretooth killing somebody, and those dreams or whatever seem to be real. So she seeks out Destiny and Mystique to find out what's going on, and you find out Mystique is like an old lady now, due to something that happened, I guess, in Mystique's own series.
Yeah, but I read that.
Out too. I'm out. Sorry, I'm not out too. I'm out.
Yeah, no, I'm also out. Don't worry about it. You could say out too. Yeah. Chris, please put some respect on the giant mutant possum's name. All right, Chris, that's what that is at the start of the comic for no reason. I have the exact same thought as you had. I'm like, this is basically an extension of the Uncanny X-Men book. This is not necessary. They don't have much of a story to tell there. They clearly don't have much of a story to tell here. I feel like all of these miniseries that they're doing, focusing on these characters, are really not doing much for like, I thought about this while reading this issue this week. I'm like, this must be some sort of a mandate on their part to be able to sell more X books in their mind. But they really should be including these things in like, when did we get to the point where we can't even have character development in the stories of these people in their own team books? Like, why do we have to have these like individual miniseries? And then, a lot of them, they're not worthwhile stories either. So I really don't know. The only thing I can think of is that they're really just, stretching it as far as they can take it here in terms of selling books, because this is, and it's wearing thin. I feel like it's wearing thin on the quality of the stories. It's wearing thin on the characters. there was no need for this book. There really isn't. There's nothing that happened in this comic that couldn't have happened in Uncanny X-Men. So I'm not sure why, and all these books are then going to go ahead and refer to one another in the editor's notes. This isn't the 90s, what's going on here? Like, this is like some sort of like 90s sales tactic where they're like, oh, you gotta read all the books to know what's going on.
Yeah. You don't have to. They're all about the past somewhere. That nobody's been clamoring about knowing about Rogue's time as part of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. They're always doing these miniseries that are taking place after like certain events or referring to different times. This one kind of, it definitely takes place in the current day here, but there's some other stuff that they're mentioning here about the character. I didn't grab any of these though. I just read it digitally, thankfully, and I didn't grab any of the covers because there wasn't anything that was like too great that I saw.
I thought they'd, at least bring on the covers, but even seemed lacking there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, this Mystique thing happened in her own miniseries, which I did read. Declan Shalvey, I think, wrote and drew that one. That one was okay, but that's basically what happened to her at the end of the series, and I guess now they're bringing up to speed here about that. So, anyways, yeah, another disappointing one that I'm out on. What'd you think of it? What'd you give this?
Another 3.25.
Yeah, 3.25 for this one for me. I like this less than the X-Force one actually, because X-Force at least felt familiar at the start, and just kind of didn't turn out the way I wanted it to be. Psylocke Ninja #1. Now this one I went to town on the covers. I got a bunch of covers for this one.
At least they came through with the covers and the story.
Villalobos.
In comparison to the other ones, this may be a story I might have some interest in. I guess it talks about the time when, I guess, Betsy Braddock and Quanon sort of shared the same body, but it looks like now that Quanon is going to take over Betsy Braddock's body or something.
Mm-hmm.
The art's decent, the story's okay, but it's still nothing to write home about. I'm curious as to why it happened, but I don't need 5 issues to tell me about it. Yeah,
this one's also written by Tim Seeley, I should mention, because I think the Inglorious X-Force is also written by Tim Seeley this week. So, so here's the thing. Again, this is referencing stuff that happened in X-Men comics past. And like history of X-Men to begin with, and especially for this character who used to be Betsy Braddock, but this Psylocke Quanon or whatever is a different person or version of the character or something like that. It's all confusing. I don't know exactly if I still understand it all correctly, honestly. I guess you had to be reading these things during the 90s, and even then I couldn't tell you, because they try to bring you up to speed with saying where it takes place and all this other stuff. So maybe the biggest X fans will understand all this. I'm still a little bit lost. Anyways, that's the start of the comic. And then after that, though, while this wasn't great either, I will say, like, just the idea of this miniseries basically being her. It seems like they like clone her or something like this, the Hand, and now they're using Psylocke to go and it looks like Elektra is also going to be resurrected here. Is going to end up, they're sending her after Elektra to basically take her out. Now, just on like a whole, like, just her versus Elektra ninja style, hence the name of this miniseries. I'm in for that, and there's been some good covers, so I'm not. Out of all 3 of these, I'm not, again, this isn't great. Like Chris said, I agree, but it's probably the easiest to kind of, I would say, pick up and get into, in the sense that if we get some good fighting out of these 2 characters, that's going to be more that these other series have offered me. At least this one I'm somewhat interested in that sense. Like, if it's going to be like some ninja showdown between Elektra and Psylocke, both characters I like, and I get some good covers out of the deal, I'll be okay with that. Just don't do any more than 5 issues, please. Because that I think that's not necessary for this miniseries. Also, did you hear that Black Cat, they announced it now? They're ending it at 8 issues? Very strange. What? I don't know if it's, I haven't looked it up myself, but somebody was telling me the other day that they've now solicited the first trade to be 8 issues instead of the original 5 or 6, and that the series is supposed to be ending with 8. And I'm like, well, I thought that they we're extending it past the original 5 because probably there'd be an uptick of sales. And he's like, yeah, no, apparently they've just, he said that it's only 8 issues now, which is a weird number to end on. I'm like, what happened? Did it just plummet like from one issue to the next?
I don't know. I can't see how that's not doing well. They've had great covers, and the story's even, well, we can talk about that one. The story's even picking up now. They're going to have freaking Random and Mary Jane and Black Cat together, and that's always gold.
I'll have to look into this more, but that's what a friend of mine told me, and I have no reason not to believe him, but yeah. I'm very surprised at that, quite frankly. Like, it's a very strange 8 issues is done. Like, that's not even a number of an issue you usually end on, right? That's strange. I'm like, oh, I'm surprised he didn't at least go to 10. So very strange. Anyways, what'd you give this?
Yeah, this one I give 3.5. Like I said, I think it's the best out of those 3.
I agree, but I could also just still give it a 3.5. There was too much. Like, in the next issue, if they focus just on what this story is, I would like it more. It was half of it was like catching you up to speed on her origins or where she's been. And I didn't care for that stuff. I would rather they just explain, like, this is a clone of her and the Hand has her and now they're going to send her after Elektra. If that was just the issue, I probably would have given this more. But because half of it was the other stuff, I'll give it a 3.5 as well. But easily the best out of the 3 we talked about. Green Lantern Galactic Slam, Chris, you read this one.
Oh yeah, bro. I don't know if you got a chance to read this, bro, but it was set up in a lot of 90s speak, and oh, you didn't read it?
No.
I thought this was going to be something else. I thought, this was almost just going to be some sort of wrestling fight with a whole bunch of, whoever's not involved in the Omega event somehow getting roped into some sort of wrestling match. But it wasn't. I think the Green Lantern, he gets teleported out to this wrestling world or whatever. And then he's stuck listening to the champ there, which oddly looks like Hulk Hogan with he's got the Hogan stash. And you get a whole bunch of his rad history and how he became a wrestler and how he had to, or how his mentor died fighting the evil champion or whatever. Oh, was not good. It was maybe I'm just getting sour. We should have started on those books, but it wasn't great. But it's a fun read. But there's a lot better wrestling comics out there. Like, I don't know how this kind of got by or why this got pushed out there. And yeah, I give it a 3.5. If you're a fan of wrestling, maybe you'll like some of this stuff, but there's better wrestling comics out there.
All right. They say bro a lot, I'm guessing, or what's that?
A lot of bro in there.
All right, bro. Next up, I got a few Bad Idea comics that came out this week. I just quickly want to say something about them. I don't have art for these because, of course, they're not digital. They just come out physical release. Cul-de-sac number 6, which is the last issue of this series. This has been all right. The big highlight of this series has been the art. This Jonathan Wayshak guy. The art's really interesting. He uses like all kinds of like mixed media, like kind of like in his art seems like pencil, ink, I don't know, like pencil, crayon, like all these kinds of different things. It looks like different shade techniques to create his art. It kind of reminds me of Sam Keith's art. If you remember Sam Keith from the Max, that Image series and cartoon back in the 90s, who had like very interesting, like abstract kind of art and like tried all these different things with his artwork. That's definitely in this guy, the same vein as this guy. And I will say what I like about some of these Bad Idea comics is sometimes they put like a backup story in them. And in this one, they had another episode of Hank Howard Pizza Detective, which I just talked about his miniseries a couple of weeks ago. So I was happy to get another adventure of him investigating another pizza related crime. In this one, someone is taking all the test pizzas for the people in training, full pizzas that they do a bad job of like preparing, and putting them in the back of their truck and then selling them and for full price and pretending that they're being delivered. And there's all these upset customers that are getting shitty pizza. And he kind of breaks open he breaks the case here and figures out who's behind all this in this one. I'll give this a 3.5. The miniseries was fine. I did like giving it extra points for the art and because of the backup story of Hank Howard in it. But the story itself in the series was just okay. But the highlight was the art. They're All Terrible, number 4. This is also the end of another Bad Idea miniseries. This was like a fantasy-based one with a bunch of warriors that were trying to like rob a bank vault, go on an adventure and rob a bank vault. Again, really great art from Ramon Villalobos. Really nice, detailed, crazy art. And these books are really light. They put them on some like light newsprint, like the way they print them out, which is nice. But basically, yeah, the conclusion of this is the last issue of the series. They basically end up, succeeding in their mission, but they find out that the bank vault was actually empty, and they use this as a way to like lure people and rule over this land, them thinking that they're protecting this bank vault. So they end up just tricking a bunch of people. So then there's these other bad guys in the story that end up getting taken out that try to raid the bank vault after our adventurers and end up getting taken out. And then they all kind of like at the end are like, oh, where are they now? Kind of catch up. Like this guy went on to do this. This guy went on to do that. So like, yeah, it was fun. Like it was a bunch of characters, hence the name They're All Terrible, that were kind of like, I guess bad guys, anti-hero type people that kind of work together in this comic. So I liked it. It was really good. I'll give this 3.75 out of 5. Overall, I'll probably give the whole series a 4, though. It was really good. And then Save Now, number 0. This was disappointing. I've been really loving this miniseries. I've talked about it a couple times here on the show. This is like, they put out a 0 issue halfway through this little miniseries that's called like Save Now Origins, which tells like some past stories about the characters in the story. I guess this guy that has this power that he can save points in his life and kind of rewind time and do that kind of thing. And you get kind of like a couple of different short stories from like things in the past, from this character's past or other characters' past, that really don't seem to have any relevance on the main storyline, honestly. And there's probably different artists that they got to do this issue. This is just another excuse to sell another book in the miniseries, honestly, and numbering it 0. And yeah, this was not worth it. That it's kind of made me not like the other series as much as a result, because the other series is so good and this was just unnecessary. So I give this a 3 out of 5. Hulk Smash Everything, number 2. Also, don't have too much to say about this. This is just a really fun book Ryan North is writing. At the end of the last issue, again, this is Dumb Hulk that we're dealing with in this series. It has nothing to do with like the Infernal Hulk series that's going on right now. This is like out of continuity. And at the end of the last issue, he gets sent to like the prehistoric era, and like he's fighting dinosaurs in this one, and he has to figure out a way to get back home. And it kind of just goes from there. Hijinks ensue. Ryan North loves writing about dinosaurs, so of course, this was another excuse for him to write dinosaurs. If you haven't seen the trend, there was a dinosaur in One World Under Doom, and in the Fantastic Four, he had a dinosaur issue. And before he worked for Marvel Comics, he did an online digital comic that was called something about dinosaurs that he did as well. So, guy's really into dinosaurs, clearly, and so am I. So I'm not mad at it. But yeah, I like this. I mean, it's not blowing anybody away in terms of like how amazing it is, but it's just a fun, dumb Hulk story. And amongst all the shit that's going on at Marvel, this doesn't seem to have any like reason to be. And I'm okay with that. It's just a fun Hulk story at the end of the day. So I'm going to give this a 3.75 out of 5. I'm enjoying this so far. The leader is the one that's kind of screwing with them right now in the current story. And he also ends up going back to this age just to kind of, the Hulk is smashing up this era so badly that the leader is forced to go back there in order to stop him, because he's actually destroying the timeline as a result of the damage that he's doing, because of all the, the things that evolve from this time, right? So like, he is literally destroying the future by putting him back in the past. So the leader's forced to go and like kind of take him away from there, even though he's the one that sent him there to fuck him over. So again, Hulk Smash Everything. That's the name of the series. Pretty straightforward. All right. Exquisite Corpses, number 9, Chris.
There, now we got some good comics. This one here, I guess, the field is starting to whittle down. And who was fighting in here? Oh, yeah, they had those kids in the high school, or those kids that sort of escaped. They go to some high school, and they think they're going to use some shortwave radio to contact the sheriff. And I guess the sheriff's all in on this, and he's involved in, I forget who he was taking down, but he was in the middle of his own sort of trouble there when he got the call. But it's even hard to explain this comic, because I think it starts out with the elite. They're sort of talking about what's going on, and I guess whoever thinks has the best chance of winning now that there's only a few people left is not the most well-liked person out of the group. And then there's some sort of backstage antics, or some like people getting together. I think there's one person that their lead, or their whatever, I don't want to call it their hero, but I guess their villain that they sent in, they lost their weapon, but if they find another weapon, they can use it.
That's right.
But you can't win for her. She wins for someone else. I don't know what it's all about, but I did like the stuff in the high school with the rabbit chasing down the guy. I thought that rabbit was finished a few times, when the rabbit kind of jumped him in the pool. And, he's all tied up in there and just was, sitting at the bottom. That kid runs away. And, he's like down through the lockers, and boom, the rabbit takes him out again. This is just still a great comic. And from what I hear, I don't know if we talked about this, but it's been optioned for a movie or something.
Yeah.
I think this should be a series, not a movie, but either way, there's a lot of good things going on here. I don't think I did it any favors trying to explain it, but it's good stuff.
No, I mean, you're not far off. Basically, that was the most interesting thing about this issue, is that there's all this infighting between like the elite people that are running the game in the shadows, like outside of the actual game. You got a lot of moments with them now, with only 3 more issues to go in this first season for this book, because I think there's going to be more. Basically, like, you need to kind of address the stuff that's happening outside of the game a little bit. So that's kind of what happens in this issue. And yeah, like you said it right. There's the older woman that's the oldest player in terms of the families all involved, that's there, that her person got taken out, I think, last issue. She's pissed off. So now one of the other members came to her and said, like, well, if my player who lost their weapon early on in the game needs a weapon to win the game, they have to have one of these weapons at the end of the game as per the rules. If she were to pick up your weapon from your dead opponent, then basically she can represent your house. You'll win, but I will work with you, because once whichever family wins, they control the narrative of what happens, like, in the world, as like the upper crust, like elite 1% people, for like the next few years until the next tournament. So like, she's kind of working with her to kind of work something out where, she'll have her in her ear, essentially. Like, she'll be in her ear, like, kind of help it, like, get what she wants, essentially. So that's kind of where we're at now. And then the other woman, the ambulance driver, who's gone full commando now, because we found out that she was like in Afghanistan or something. Like, she's an actual, she used to be in the army with the military. So she has all these skills now she's using out there to help people, because there's a few people now that have the knowledge of what's going on in their town. And yeah, the Rascal Randy seeds in this. This guy's like Michael Myers or something. This guy, he's crazy. I love this character.
I do like the scene where the kid jumps off the roof, but in the background you just see the rabbit ears just on the horizon of the building. I thought that was great.
I don't know how this guy's doing it. He puts him in the pool at one point, and he gets wrapped up in the pool, and then the guy
he's got his eye stabbed by now as well.
Yeah, and then he runs away, and then he pops up around the corner from him all of a sudden. He's just like,
there's got to be 2 rabbits.
I don't know, but this Rascal Randy, I love this character. Like, between this and the last time he helped the kid. And it's funny, because if you saw him earlier in the series, his costume is getting more and more disgusting looking now. Like, it's like gross now. Like, it's like you could tell he's been through a lot with this costume on now, right? Because before, I feel like he wasn't as like gross as he kind of was looking here in this scene. And then at the end, that recluse character, who I guess like is able to string people up in like traps, caught one of the girls. It seems like that's like, I think it's just a townsperson. running through the woods here at the end. So I don't think she's a player this one, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's Recluse, I think, that one. So
I think we saw much of her, but I guess she's on the board for the next issue.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, 3 more issues to go in this maxi series here. It's been great. Good comic. What'd you give this?
That's a 4.
Yeah, 4 out of 5 for sure. Powers 25, number 5, Chris.
Well, another comic. I don't know how to explain this, but it's good. I loved all the dialogue that's going on. I think in the last issue, they were bringing in the leader of the Legacy Star, and that's sort of like a competing police force of scientists, I guess, compared to the Powers division. And there's a lot of good dialogue during the investigation. Once they have the I forget what his name is, but I don't know, the Legacy Star guy in the cell, and the cop that's investigator kind of tries a real casual sort of investigation style. It almost reminds me of like Columbo. It's kind of just talking about talking about this and that, but there's some through line at the end that's gonna screw them. But otherwise than that, and then I think in the police station, you kind of hear about the car, I don't know what to call him. The police leader there is talking about how this guy, if he's caught, it's because he wants to be caught, and this is his plan to sort of take over the Powers division and things like that. And it seems like that's coming true. You got a lot of stuff up in the air, a lot of points coming together. I think they found the owner of the building where that poker game was going on. So there's some new, there might be some new points there.
I like that scene a lot too, where Dina Pilgrim, who's like the older, like vet, essentially agent, she takes that guy with her who has powers. And when they're talking to that woman who owns the building, she's like, "Stop trying to hit on her," or whatever. He's like, "What?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You gave her your number pretty quick there." He's like, "Oh, you can message me with the information."
Yeah.
Like, here you go. Like, hey, how about you give me your
like
number?
all this dialogue, it's fun, but it's not dumb.
No,
I think it's just some smart writing, and this is what Bendis has got. I hope he does come to Marvel and does something.
yeah, I do too. It's been a while, and I feel like he's had a rough go of it in terms of like him leaving Marvel, going to DC. I don't think his DC was that successful in comparison to his Marvel time. And then since then, he's kind of just been writing these creator-owned books over at Dark Horse for the last few years. And I feel like sometimes, it's you kind of gotta get away from the big two in order to come back correct in a way, because at least that's what I thought Snyder did, and like people like Hickman did. Like these people went away for a couple of years, and I feel like they came back, and they came back better than ever. It almost feels like sometimes you got to go and be a little bit more creative in terms of like your writing, and to kind of get back to a place where you can inject some of that back into superhero comics, because it can kind of.
I just feel like I hope if he does come back, he comes back on his own terms. Where
I agree.
I think that's maybe that's what the kind of the secret sauce with Snyder and Hickman is. They come back and maybe not do what they want, but kind of do something they want to do at least.
Yeah, and he left on bad terms at the end of his period there. Like Bendis was like the flagship writer for Marvel for like 20 years or something like that. Maybe not that long, like 15, maybe like 20 years on, is like 15 years at least, like a long time. He was like a company man. And then like by the time he left, I think there was some bad blood there at the end of his period there. Right. And then he, of course, like most guys, he goes across the street to DC, and then he had health problems, and his time at DC was cut short. And then, now he's just been kind of doing this stuff over at Dark Horse. So I wouldn't mind seeing him back at Marvel, quite honestly. I know he's not everyone's cup of tea, but I've liked Bendis a lot more than I have disliked him over the years. So what'd you give this, Chris?
I guess 3.75.
I agree. Yeah, good issue. Batman Superman World's Finest, number 47.
This was a fun issue. I guess we still have the Joker and Lex Luthor. It's kind of fun listening to those two guys talk together. And we got Clark and Batman. They're both in the same mind. They're not so much fun, but we got sort of I guess they have that all-knowing, or they know all the information doohickey that they're using, and it seems they've sussed out who Batman and who Clark is. So obviously this is still taking place in some different corner of the universe, but somehow it always ends up in canon in the main universe somehow. But that aside, I guess Lois Lane finds out that Superman is Clark, and then Poison Ivy takes out, attacks Wayne Manor. And there's a lot of good stuff going on here. And then what are they? Oh yeah, the Joker and Batman, or Joker and Lex Luthor. He wants to be the smartest person. And then of course the Joker. Oh yeah, don't worry, I'll help you out. I'll help you out. And basically he does it by making everybody else dumb, which is something I've seen before. A story I've seen. I think I saw that in Reboot or something where.
Yeah, that's right.
Little Enzo wanted to be the smartest kid in whatever city they are.
Good call.
Everybody became 8-bit, and he was the only person that wasn't. He goes, "Oh, this is what I wanted." Everybody's dumb.
Good call. Good call out. Love it.
Same thing in this one, but I think it's at the end. Whatever I forget what did they do to beat them, but they got their W, and then they were able to get separated. But it seems like that Batman Superman fusion is. It's still in the playbooks. Like, I don't think it doesn't seem like there's any consciousness involved, but they have it under some sort of stasis field or something. So
yeah,
I don't think it's going to be the last time we see that thing.
No, it's still in play, and it's basically like a suit now, like outside of themselves, that just exists and sits there, as you kind of got the last panel of it hanging up in the Justice League headquarters, in the Fortress of Solitude, I should say, not the Justice League headquarters. So yeah, it's still in play. I mean, they can basically pull this out at some point, and maybe Wade set it up to be to take part in DCKO at some point. I don't know, but it's very cool. I gotta say, I do like that idea. A lot of fusions going on between DCKO and this. Like, I'm all here for it as a fan of Dragon Ball. It's good stuff. What'd you give this?
I got a 3.75. I enjoyed this comic.
Yeah, 3.75 out of 5 for sure. Wonder Woman 29.
One of the comics I do have here. Wonder Woman 29. I guess this is the first issue, not by Tom King or Daniel Sampere. Well, it wasn't bad, but you can definitely see it's a filler issue. What's her name? Diana shows up to Themyscira, and basically she leaves the kid there. I forget what she has to do. Doesn't she just leave the kid there so she can go meditate or something?
Yeah, I can't remember what she said, but basically,
yeah, like, I don't know. She spent all this time, "Oh, I'm never going to leave you. I'm never going to leave you. Oh, everything's changed." First thing she does when she gets to the island, "I'm going to drop the kid off here for a bit. I got to get some me time."
You could do a lot worse, you would think, than leaving a kid with a bunch of Amazons, right? I mean, like, come on.
I'm not saying it's the bad people to leave him with, but after this whole thing about, I'm never leaving this, you're fighting this mouse man, and you had your kid strapped to your back the whole time. Yeah. And then, the kid did get taken away during that, and the next thing you do is, "I'll just leave it with my sisters here."
That's true.
It seems like they get influenced by somebody there. I forget who it was, but, they kind of spar to see who would take care of Trinity. And then the sparring gets sort of out of hand, and I think there's some sort of evil influence upon them, so they're fighting a little bit tighter and tougher against each other. And then I guess with the Queen had to freaking settle them down, and they had to find out what was sort of drawing him into this valley of bad mojo, I guess. I don't know. Wasn't the greatest, but it's okay.
Yeah. I think, is this like a 2-parter or something? Yeah, it was. Yeah, it screams filler story, and this is Jeff Spokes on art, and who is this? Stephanie Williams. Yeah, it was okay. I think it's just down the line. Like it was fine. Like it wasn't bad. It wasn't that interesting. It was interesting to get all the shit talk between these characters and how they all think they're better with one another, or that, the fact that, they have so much to say of each other's skills, or like how, they want to be the next Wonder Woman or what have you. Yeah. Like all that infighting, all that fighting that was happening between these characters was interesting in the comic, but it was very predictable. Like you knew this was like the baby was gonna, like something was gonna happen to the baby when these guys are all fighting and ignoring it, right? So of course, so you know, I guess we'll see what happens next. It was fine.
Yeah, if I wasn't in that, if I was in and out of this comic, I'd definitely be out for these couple issues. And I always find it funny, you know, you see with there's 4 of those kind of Wonder Girls now. They seem to be getting a bit disposable when you have so many. You know, Trinity shows up. You know, I think a few years ago that Yara Flora, she was, you know, she was like the next hot thing. I think a lot of her comics were selling really well in the secondary market, and ever since then, poof, she sort of dropped off the radar. Yeah. And now that Trinity's here, you know, now everybody else is going to, you know, take a step down the line. So I think they're sort of overdoing all this. Either Wards of Diana or all these sort of Wonder Girl they're putting out. But anyways, I give this 3.5.
Yeah, 3.5. Next up, we got Alien versus Captain America #3.
I don't know. I think my LCS had this one there, and I did enjoy the last one. I did buy the first one. I didn't buy the second one, but I got this one here. This DA cover. And it's, once again, this is a series that has been surprising me. This is another good issue. I wish it had more to do with Captain Marvel. I think there's a lot of explanation about how the aliens ended up in the Kree and Skull Empire, and it sounds like they decimated the Kree homeworld, and Captain Marvel ends up being, they got to change his name, the Supremor or something, after the Supreme Intelligence sort of got brain busted. But anyway, they end up back on, you know, then they get back to on Earth, and, you know, it seems like the Red Skull is controlling or has something to do with these aliens, and they're all fighting on the, you know, on the battlefield. You have some hydroplanes just raining down these aliens on top of the soldiers down there. I thought that was fun. And then, you know, the Kree Empire or the Kree spaceship show up, blow those planes out of the sky. And then everybody's down on the ground just taking care of the aliens. So it's fun to get some, you know, some superhero or some Captain America action against the aliens where he's not going to get overwhelmed. There's not an endless supply. There's a shit ton of them, but it seems like they took care of business. And, you know, I think there was some conflict between Nick Fury, or not Nick. Yeah, it was Nick Fury and I guess one of the Kree captains there. And I did like at the end when, or closer to the end, where they have one of the Red Skull. I don't know if that was the Baron or something. They have him prisoner, and you know the Kree captain shows up, and
it was Baron von Strucker. Yeah.
Okay, Baron von Strucker, and then you know, Nick Fury's about to finish him off, and then the Kree captain shows up. He goes, "Hey, hold on a second." And he's like, "Oh, you're not telling me what to do about this." He goes, "Oh, don't worry." He had some sort of hand or some claw that would extract some information. And then it doesn't seem to be too pleasant when the information gets extracted. And I guess Nick Fury says, "Hey, maybe we're going to be friends after all." And then, of course, they find out that this whole battle here was a distraction, and that somehow the Red Skull has merged with the Queen. And we're taking this battle to the beaches. They're going to Normandy now. It's D-Day.
I absolutely love this comic. It has no right to be as enjoyable as it's been. I don't know how they're pulling it off. I don't know how these elements and all these characters are mixing well together, but they are. This is a great story. I mean, this is the fact that Captain America shines through, and it's still a good Captain America story, but then you got the backdrop of the WW2 setting. You got other characters showing up with the other alien characters with the Captain Marvel stuff in here. The coolest part about this story, I thought, is how they explained how they actually infiltrated the Skrulls early in the issue, and then they talked about how they can basically transform like them now, like they basically transform into other things, like they disguise themselves as Kree at one point. The aliens,
like shape-shifting skills.
Yeah. I love that. And then that whole part with them raining down like a bomb out of the plane. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't know how all these elements are working together. But I love it all. It's great stuff. Fun comic. And then the fact that the Red Skull it merged with the Queen is the icing.
And you still have like the Red Skull is that freaking the big giant dome forehead of those Xenomorphs. Oh, it's just great stuff.
Fantastic. Yeah, I really enjoy this series a lot. I didn't pick this up in issues, but I'll be picking up the trade when it comes out, guaranteed. It's a great book. So good stuff. What'd you give this?
Yeah, I give this a 4.
I mean, I go even 4.25. This may be my favorite issue of the series.
Wouldn't be wrong. You wouldn't be wrong.
Captain America 6, Chris.
Oh, I thought I had an issue there, but I don't. Before we get into this, I still don't know. I know we've talked about this a million times, but I still don't know how this Captain America is fitting in this world. But besides that, I think this is an okay comic. There's a lot. What do you have? Captain America sitting in the bar in the beginning, and then I guess behind him there's some Roxxon executives talking about. What are they talking about? I don't know. They're talking about how they could.
It's all the fallout.
Doom.
All the fallout from One World Under Doom and the politics.
Yeah, they're talking about how they, maybe they should try and get another villain in power, because what Doom was doing was basically they thought he was doing a good job, except you just can't have somebody called Dr. Doom, put in these policies. Now we got to shine this up, and they're talking about maybe getting a leader and things like that. And of course, Steve is sitting at the bar, and he kind of tells him about the soldier life, and these guys are all wrong. If the real people are out there, risking their lives. And I guess it happens off panel, but he ends up beating the crap out of him, and he ends up in jail. And then Tony Stark and Sam Wilson shows up. And Sam Wilson here, of course, he's Captain America too, because he got the Captain America suit on. But there's never any mention of that. And there's always that, they have that other Captain America that's floating around out there, that Dave Coulter. I'm not sure how that story fits in all this. But I guess the big takeaways from this issue is that S.H.I.E.L.D. seems to be back in business. And of course, in the beginning, I think Captain America says, with the history he has with S.H.I.E.L.D., he's not really ready to step in there. And he kind of, he doesn't agree to their offer. And then you got kind of General Thunderbolt. He's kind of reaching out to Steve, say, we're in Latveria now. And, we're going to try and set up a free democracy here. And, if you're kind of reading into current day events, that's not an American strong suit, or it's something that's been sort of played out there.
Yeah.
And then you have this, then he has this talk with Sharon Carter, right? Is that who that is? And I guess they're dating here.
Yeah.
And they've been dating for a while, and they're sort of having rough times. Then, of course, they have the heart-to-heart, and, hey, she goes, when I got to do things, you let me go. I know you got to do some stuff here. Just because we're not together doesn't mean we're not together. And then, fast forward to 2 weeks. So I guess Captain America did accept S.H.I.E.L.D.'s invitation, and he's sort of training a bunch of mercenaries, which I don't know if that would ring true for Captain America, but anyway, he's doing it. And they do end up on the ground in Latveria, and as they're kind of moving in, they run into General Ross, and he said, "Hey guys, stand down. We got this under control." And of course, he just turns into the Red Hulk, and looks like they're going to be fighting over there.
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting things about what's going on with the story so far that's developing here is the fact that this book has a lot to do, again, like with the fallout of the event. The fallout of the event of One World Under Doom is actually even more interesting than the event was, to be honest. It's, which I gotta honestly, like, kudos to like Zdarsky and Ryan North, like some of these people that have continued to like do these setups outside of like the actual conclusion of the series for like moving some of the narrative forward, because it really plays into the Captain America book now, because now he's trying to do his due diligence as a soldier, trying to serve his country, but at the same time he doesn't really agree with a lot of the decisions that are being made, which is usually, it's a trope of the character over the years that they've revisited often. And obviously now the Thunderbolt Ross back in the picture doesn't seem like, he has his own motives, it seems like, with what's going on over there. And now with S.H.I.E.L.D. involved, you can never really trust them all too much. So like he's kind of between a rock and a hard place right now, Captain America. So it's a very interesting place for him to be. And I'm interested to see how this all shakes out. It's a really interesting setup so far. Also, Nuke, I think, was the one that was in that one scene in captivity they showed, right? Like that's what it looked like to me.
I'd imagine, yeah, just from the solicitation we've seen, I think where this leads to, Nuke is going to be a big player in this. I did want to mention also, I did like how they kind of took all the superpower people off the table by saying, they can't be going in there or at least American superheroes can't go in there, because they feel that the Avengers sort of are at fault for this. And,
right.
It's, I just thought it was interesting how they explained that out of there.
Yeah, bad optics for them to go in there, I guess, like in the news and whatever. So like, yeah, it's also there's all these freedom fighters in Latveria that are also like in the mix too that they're talking about. So like, yeah, it's interesting. I don't care for my comics to get too political. I don't really like that kind of stuff. Although within the constraints of the Marvel universe, like, you know what I mean? Like I like in the confines of the Marvel universe, it might be some interesting stuff that they can kind of play with here, especially because of the politics involved with Latveria being its own nation outside of the, you know what I mean? Like they've always been like a sovereign state or whatever. Right. So like they kind of, I believe that's the right term, right? Like they serve
their own country. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the fact that they're involved with it over there is kind of interesting now. And like, but of course someone does need to step in, but whether or not they have the best interests of them at heart or not, right? That like we'll see, right? Of the country. So yeah, interesting stuff. What'd you give this?
I'll give it a 3.75.
Yeah, agreed. Verging on a 4 though. I really like what's going on here. Like it took a while. It was a slow start of the issue, but I'm kind of interested to see where it goes next now. Daredevil, Punisher, The Devil's Trigger, number 3.
Yeah, this one's okay, but I'm tired of getting Daredevil and Punisher sort of butting heads over trying to kill someone and save someone. When it happened in the first issue, I think they wrote it really well where, it's either you save this person or you save you shoot me and sort of stuff like that. But now this is getting old. But there's other beats in here that I did like. I did like when Daredevil had to reach out to Misty Knight about trying to set up a meeting between Daredevil and Punisher. I think that's closer to the end of the issue. And sort of just all the underworkings of these crime families. It sounds like once Punisher killed this crime family, there's some upstarts that are trying to get in there. And I guess this person that Daredevil is trying to fight to get into, that Punisher wanted to kill, he turns out to be an undercover Fed. So just a lot more, what seemed like a simple situation seems to be getting a lot more complicated because now, the FBI or the DEA is involved, and you can't take this guy out because he's a deep mole, and they want to keep him as an asset, things like that. So those are some of the beats that I do like, but enough with Daredevil and Punisher kind of running into each other, and like they start fighting, and then the guy runs, slips out through the back door while they're arguing whether or not they should kill him or something. I didn't like that part too much, but otherwise, still a good comic.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't love everything, the story beats that are going on here, but there is some interesting stuff still at play here, and I still like seeing both these characters in the mix. And it definitely does seem like they're going for a more, let's say PG-13 tone for the Punisher with this comic. So I'm okay with that too. So there's still some good stuff going on here, enough to continue reading the rest of the series for me. Yeah, Misty Knight, that was interesting seeing her in the mix there, and I guess she's got an in with the Punisher. I don't know about all that, but that's what it seems like here, and we'll see how this all plays out. So, what'd you give this?
I'll give it a 3.75.
Yeah, the same 3.75 out of 5. New Avengers number 8.
Oh, this was a bit of a spicy issue.
Yeah.
I wish they could have got, I'm not saying the art was bad, but if they got an A-list drawn here, whoa, this one could have been really spicy. But otherwise, yeah, the issue itself, we have Black Widow and the Winter Soldier kind of trying to figure out what's going on. I guess a lot of the storyline is you don't know whether the Black Widow is sort of on the side of the Illuminati or if she's a clone. You don't know what was sort of going on. So a lot of that is explained here. And it seems like someone has taken over taken over Black Widow somehow. And they don't really get into that, and you don't see too much evidence of it. But she's kind of explaining that she was trying to find this, somebody who's been killing all these people. And then it turns out it's been her, but she has no memory of it. And she seems to be trusting the Winter Soldier, because there's a kind of scene at the end where, or not, there's a scene in the beginning where it looks like she's going to attack him, and she frees him. And then basically she tells him, look, you hit me with the truth serum and we can get to the bottom of this. Of course, the Winter Soldier feels sort of played, manipulated, but maybe not. She seems to be a bit broken at the end of this, or at the end of their conversation. And then it gets into some of the Illuminati or the Killuminati people trying to figure out what's going on. And there seems to be a lot of infighting between them. So I'm still enjoying this story. It definitely has gotten better than from where this started. When this first started, I thought this was just going to be, just kind of a little in and out stuff. But this story, I guess they did have some legs in the story. They just wasted a lot of time in the beginning, but I thought it was a good issue.
Yeah, I really like this series a lot. I might be mistaken. I know at least I did. We may have both given this our most underrated book of the year when we did the Comic Shop Talk Awards. Yeah, and I still think that rings true. A lot of people can't be reading this. I don't think. I think it is ending with issue 10. So I'm kind of I'm interested to see how they bring this all home. It's just been a fun book with good characters. And I think that this issue really drove home like how much of a triple threat Black Widow is. Like there's this scene where she like basically all the things that were needed in their like what they were pulling off could only be done by herself, she realized, because she has a little bit of all kinds of different skills. So that's when she found out, she realized that she's been hunting down herself, and therefore that's why she hasn't been able to stop herself, because when she sleeps, her basically this other Black Widow goes into effect essentially. So she's like an actual sleeper agent of sorts. So, which again isn't nothing new, I guess, for this character, but the way that they've kind of played it up to this point, and that Winter Soldier didn't really know where she was on the level or not this whole time, and then it's revealed in them having a bra and panties match in this issue. I quite liked it. I like this book. It was another good issue, I thought, and I'm interested to see where it goes. Also, like whether or not
stuff at the end there, where I guess Carnage is kind of talking to Eddie in his mind space, and Eddie almost says, "Okay, we can take out, we can kill the Avengers here if you want." I don't know if it, like that part, that scene didn't get to play out because it looked like he was going to trap him. But then I guess that Killuminati shows up, and he may not have to go through with it.
And it looks like there's all these like beast orangutans here at the end. I don't know what's going on there.
But, yeah.
And then also, speaking of people calling each other bro, how about that part where the clone Iron Man, he resurrects the clone Mr. Fantastic? He's like, my bro, what's going on? He's like, you're alive. He's all like messed up. He's like, what's going on?
No, don't worry, we have to get you out first, bro.
What'd you give this?
I'll give it a 3.75. This is a good comic.
I'm gonna go with 4. I quite enjoy this. Planet She-Hulk #3.
This one's getting old too, but I was expecting some big battle there with that Thousand Eyes or leader or champion there. You didn't seem to get much of that. It seems like they're trying to play some Game of Thrones game or a comic issue here, and it's just not that interesting, to be honest. I don't really care what happens on Sakaar. I know She-Hulk's stuck in the middle of it. I think the art is good in here. It's some good art there with She-Hulk. Always happy to see some great She-Hulk art.
Yeah.
But like if anything should be a 6-issue series or something. This is one.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I pretty much said this, I feel like, about the last issue, and I say it again with this issue, is that there's a lot more Planet than there is She-Hulk in this comic. And I think I'm out on this issue. I think this is the last one. I really wish there was more of a story surrounding She-Hulk as opposed to her just being in the middle of all these people on this planet. And,
like a little power struggle or who wants to be king or something.
Yeah, I mean, the story itself is fine, but like you said, I'm not as interested in that part of it, and I just feel like she's a backup character in her own book here. So, yeah, I'm good. I more so enjoyed like there's a way of including a bunch of cast of characters, like side characters, like they did in her last series, for instance, and still have her as like a main support of the book, as opposed to this, where you have to spend so much time focused on these other people that you don't even know in this book. And then you got She-Hulk showing up at a couple of pages in the issue, which doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, and with the big reveal at the end, Jack Hart shows up.
Her ex,
He's going to be at the prosecution in some sort of trial.
Yeah.
Yeah, big deal. Casino.
Yeah, who basically, I think fucked off at the end of her last series, right? And here he is. What'd you give this?
Yeah, it's a 3.5.
Same. The Immortal Thor #6.
Ooh, another one here. Maybe this one wasn't so bad. But when you get this, some Joe Blow with a hammer kind of fighting against, superpower people, it starts losing a bit of it. Unless he's got, the power of Thor inside of him somehow. But I still don't think that's the case. They seem to be really trying to steer you towards that he's just a mortal human that has, no idea of what's going on. And I forget who he's fighting, some snake or cobra here or something. And, the cobra tells him to run away. And, of course, him being the hero that he is, he decides not to. I know somehow he fights him with a hammer tied to a bungee cord. That's getting old. And, I guess it seems that if he did run away, he would have ended up killing himself. And the person he saves helps him get out. And, of course, the police are on him. And, I don't know, he meets up with whoever his friend is out of the real world. And, I imagine somehow this friend is going to have some freaking superpowers buried somehow because she's just been involved too much.
Plus, that's Mr. Hyde, I think, that shows up at the end, right? Which is like, that's like Jekyll and Hyde. Like, that's like Mr. Hyde, I think, that shows up there at the end, which not a character you see that often. So I'm interested to see how the hell he's going to play into all this. But this is still a very strange comic. I don't know what to make of this. So much so that I feel like I would have dropped it by now, but I'm interested to see almost what this is. You know what I mean? Like,
if they're making us sweat to freaking get Thor back here, then they're making us sweat too much. And if they're not, then I don't know what the heck is going on here.
Yeah. It's an interesting little detour, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know
on it, but I'm not as enthusiastic as I was originally.
Same. And I don't know if I could easily recommend this to anybody either, because I don't feel like it's, again, I'm not really sure what they're doing here. If I was picking this up in issues, I would have dropped it by now, but we've been reading it digitally and I'm fine to do that and talk about it here, but I might also just stop reading it digitally. I don't know. We'll see.
Something's going to happen soon.
I'm giving, because of the fact that character showed up at the end again. I'm just like, well, that's a weird character to show up in this book. I'm interested to see what happens with that now. But they really got me on. Like, what's our saying there, Chris? This is it's all, even though I don't pick it up, I don't buy this book, so it would have been in the chopping block. I would have already chopped it. Anyways, what'd you give this?
Yeah, 3.5.
Yeah. Next up, X-Men 24. I didn't realize I don't usually buy this in issues, but I got a couple of covers for this one. I got this Psylocke Artist Month one. Yeah. I forgot which of the artists on this one. Oh, Luciano Vecchio. And I think that's, he did 2 covers actually for this one. He also did this White Queen, Emma Frost. Which is again like Stormbreakers, one of their like highlights of artists this month or whatever. So they all did like different X-Men, I think, covers. So he did the Psylocke one and the White Queen special one here.
Well, at least he didn't get a whole bunch of the X-Men. I think this one was all involved about the Beast, right? The evil Beast and how he sort of came to be and what he's up to and how he's sort of taking over I guess he's always been in control of this X or the 3K. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Yeah, the 3K. I guess he was, they don't really go into see how he got there, but his consciousness was sort of in some robot. And then now he's sort of in a White Beast character. And once again, I was a big fan of this evil Beast when it was just the only Beast. And, he was going really crazy during the end of the Krakoa time, which I thought was fun to read. But I didn't think it was going to stick. And who wants? I'm not a big fan of the evil Beast. I don't think anybody wants to see Beast being evil. But here we are.
I don't know. I'm kind of interested. I mean, I'm glad they gave us some answers. I feel like the last time we were talking about this last issue that came out after the event, we were a little confused about.
Yeah, I guess the last one was all about Cyclops, and this one's all about Beast.
Right. So I'm glad we got this issue. It was much needed, I felt like. And now, this other group of X-Men that they've put together that's supposed to rival and take out the other X-Men. Magneto's clone is basically on the team as well, and there's a whole thing going on with that. And then, like you said, it's revealed that
I like what he did with that Schwarzschild guy, because I guess in that Age of Revelation, it was revealed that he kind of turned sides, and he joined the X-Men. I guess the real X-Men. And this one here, he's still on board with the evil side, but Beast goes, I don't know, sooner or later you're going to turn. And
yeah,
I'm not even, it's not like, oh, we'll wait and see until you turn and see how it goes. Nope, you're dead. And I forget what they do to kill him, but I thought that was unexpected. And he did return from the future with the formula for this X virus. So crazy, yeah. I guess crazy things could be afoot.
I didn't mind this. I don't know. I thought it was all right.
This is another time where the fallout of this Age of Revelation is more interesting than the actual Age of Revelation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just not a big fan of the Evil Beast. They should have somebody else doing this stuff, but I'll give it a 3.5.
I might go 3.75, actually, just a bit higher than you. I like this issue.
Yeah, the more we talked about it, there were some good points here. I did like that, him coming back with the virus and killing Schwarzschild or whatever his name is.
Schwarzschild, yeah. Spider-Man Wolverine #9, which I don't have the art to display, guys. My apologies, but I'll try to show off some of the pages as Chris talks, because there's some great art.
Yeah, there's some great art in here on this. Is it Jerry Sandoval or something?
Yeah, Gerardo Sandoval.
That's a great team. If you got to have somebody come in to replace, I guess, Carrie Andrews, because he does some crazy panels here too. Like, there's some great panels in here that are worth the price of the admission. They have him fighting that Rocksnicks or whatever, and his Revengers. And I guess they figured out that these Revengers have never fought any type of superheroes before. And it's the first time they're really fighting against people that can fight back. And they're really unprepared for what Peter Parker or what Spider-Man and Wolverine can do. I did like the scene where that Namor Thor sort of amalgam. He has a hammer there, and and I thought they'd make that scene a bit bigger with Spider-Man just picking up the hammer. And of course, I guess he could use it because he does swing it around. I think he throws it over to Wolverine to help save him. And then, we don't need that hammer anymore. We're only fighting the hardest thing ever. It might be nice to keep Thor's hammer and use it as a weapon. But either way, I think Spider-Man figures out what Reed Richards was trying to do to stop the Arachnids with that gun. And it turns out the gun shoots some sort of webbing or anti-webbing fluid that would disrupt this Arachnids, but Reed Richards didn't really get the formula right. And of course, Spider-Man does, because he seems to be very familiar with the webbing, organic webbing, or the webbing formula in general. And so he shoots them, and it's something that pretty much tears apart the webbing. And this Arachnid's character seems to be made out of webbing to begin with. And then once they kind of take care of that, what do they call it? Scythe shows up, and it's like Dr. Doom and a couple other people.
It was like the Shield of this world, essentially.
Yeah, they seem to be good guys. So Spider-Man sort of got to rein him in. But the Doom they have, it's still Doom. He's still an arrogant bum, and I think whatever his panels or his banter or his talk or his word balloons, whatever. I think they're all great.
There's a part where he says something about if we come back, you get to say I told you so, and he's like,
Yeah.
Doom is not often given cause to say I told you so. No, sorry, Doom is often given cause.
Yeah, just all stuff like that. When he's talking to Wolverine, he's like, I don't think you'd understand. And then the Wolverine next panel is just freaking squiggly lines.
Yeah.
But anyways, they and then they go, our Doom takes them to the 4 Fathoms Tower, which I guess is the stand-in for the Baxter building there. And they think they can use one of Doom's kind of teleportation devices to get out there. And it doesn't seem to work. And Wolverine tells Peter, goes, "All right, don't worry, we got we have Reed Richards building of the Stark Pym Tower or headquarters, and he's got everything there. Maybe we can figure something out." And then Doom is like, you think you can do this? Good luck.
Yeah.
And of course he goes there. They figured, they have a bit of controversy to get access to the destabilizer, but they ended up doing it. And then then this story takes another turn where they end up in Vancouver because Peter Parker wants to reunite Wolverine with Mariko, which is just out of the blue. And then there's some nice banter there, where kind of Peter plays against some of his failed romantic liaisons and stuff like that. And then of course what's his name, that arachnid. Anyways, this arachnid's character is like the worst freaking character in the building, and the Scythe is there. And they just freaking have 2 freaking lackeys carrying this guy. Everybody else is all freaking tied up in stretchers, with all the shock collars or power dampers on or whatever. And then for the worst guy in this whole world, they have 2 guys freaking got an arm over the shoulder. Oh, good thing he passed out.
I know. That part.
I'll let that slide just because this is still a fun story. And he shows up, I guess, in the 616. So I guess freaking madness will ensue for the next issue. Is the next issue the last one?
Yeah, it should be. Yeah. I mean, we've always said this is more of an art-driven story, but the story's been fun now too in this book. Like I really enjoy the current story arc, and but again, I'm not. I'll be sad to see it go, but in the sense that I could have used some more of this art, but it makes if it ends with 10 issues, that's fine too. But
it couldn't last forever.
No, but I do agree the team of these 2 artists working back and forth. Really great. As much as we've loved Carrie Andrews, I think Gerardo Sandoval has done a great job complimenting him when he's
he's great too. Like he's got Spider-Man in some crazy positions. Like his knees are up over his head and all sorts of stuff. And it's a pretty good Wolverine too.
Yeah, absolutely. What'd you give this?
I give this 3.75.
Yeah, I think so, but I can almost give it a 4. This one too.
Like for art, I'd give this another. Even this, most of the series would be freaking up in 4.5 territory, but it's just on art alone.
And then finally, Amazing Spider-Man number 20.
Well, before we get to Spider-Man, I don't know if I got a chance to read Fantastic Four. I forgot to mention that one.
Oh, shit. I did read that, and I do have the art for it. Damn, I forgot about that one. Yeah, good call. Actually, you had one other book you wanted to mention here, too, if you wanted to mention it.
All the time. It's read Starship Godzilla.
Yeah.
I forget who it's by, but some indie publisher. And it's been
I think it's
IDW.
Yeah.
I love the art style of this. It's a very dirty art style, it seems. And the story, it's kind of crazy. There's like some spaceship that looks like Godzilla, like a Transformer Godzilla, but it's not in Godzilla form. And of course, they're roaming out between the planets and things like that. And I think a kaiju has been sent out to space, and there's some contest where everybody's planet has to go out to this to bring them back. Anyways, the story's crazy. But now there's the crew of the ship is there seems to be some backstabbing going on. It's like the person that's running the ship, one of the mechanics, they seem to be working for the evil empire, and they sold them some of these kaiju eggs. And then I guess the hero of this comic, she just kind of found out that she's been hoodwinked. So it was just a nice little turn in the story that you find out what's going on. And this spaceship still has not turned into a Godzilla yet. And I imagine when it does, at least if they're saving that for something, I'm ready to wait for that. You can make me sweat for 3 or 4 issues because the comic itself is just good.
What'd you give it?
I'd give it a 3.75.
I'm gonna have to check this one out. Yeah, I saw it coming out. They're doing all kinds of different like weird ideas for Godzilla lately. It seems like, and
Yeah, those are crazy ideas. It really has nothing to do with Godzilla. It's more about the crew of the spaceship.
right.
But he's in there.
Well, it's just like that other one that I read. I think I talked about one of the issues here on the show when it was coming out. It was like Monster Piece Theater Godzilla, where they were basically blending Godzilla, like reimagining if he was around during the day of like, like Great Gatsby and all these other storylines that they like existed in like older stories, right? Like it was like the Time Machine character was in it, and like all the Sherlock Holmes was in it, and Dracula was in it. Like it was all these like literary characters in a story with Godzilla, right? Trying to reimagine if he was like a character along with
what they would do.
Yeah, it was weird, but like, kind of fun that they're doing shit like that, honestly. But yeah, anyways, yeah, shit, I forgot about that. I must have forgot to write this down. So good catch. Fantastic Four. What issue is this one again?
7.
All right. What'd you think of this, Chris?
I got the cover there. Nice part of what that's this Invincible Woman Part 2. So I think at the end of the last issue, we had Reed figuring out there's some sort of hidden space message from Galactus saying that he needs Sue Storm. So here they're it's the fallout of that. I guess they believe this message, and they feel that the Fantastic Four has to go fly out to the furthest reaches of the universe to try and see what's going on, because if Galactus is sending out a message there, something big must be happening. And so Reed is figuring out what they can do to build a ship. And while they're doing that, they realize that if Reed can figure this out, maybe other people can figure it out, and Earth will be unprotected while they're gone. And they basically decide to kind of choose something. Reed has these little teleporters, and then they can choose sort of people that they can give this to in case the family gets in trouble, that they can call these people in, and basically just teleport them right into wherever this danger is. I think a lot of this issue is narrated by the Thing or Ben Grimm, kind of just talking about how everything goes on. I did like that they bring Black Cat into this, kind of goes back into a couple issues, and Sue Storm shows up at Felicia Hardy's place. You don't really kind of get to see her just sort of living her life there, where what she's doing, and then he kind of says, "Oh, if we need some help, of course, Black Cat is happy to help." And I think they do talk about some stuff that's going on in the Spider-Man comic, but it was a nice little touch there. I think Johnny Storm, I figure he picked like some cop or something, or not a superpower. Did the Thing get Luke Cage, or I forget kind of who everybody picked. But anyways, of course, they take off. And then Ben Grimm goes in his narration, I think the Mole Man has figured things out, and he realizes that the Fantastic Four is out, and he thinks, is it the Mole Man, or it's the Mad Thinker? That's
Mad Thinker, yeah.
Yeah, the Mad Thinker. Oh, now's the time to strike. And, he kind of takes it to the kids, and, they think they got their ace in the hole, and all the heroes show up. But, of course, the Mad Thinker thought of that as well. But what the Mad Thinker didn't realize is that Ben Grimm, he likes to hang out at the bar with no name. And he's been, sort of talking with, whoever hangs out there. And generally it's, kind of villains. And he's kind of asked them, hey, I'm going to be gone for a while. We're dealing with, some sort of, universal threat. And I'm going to be gone, and I need someone to kind of take care of my family. And of course, all those guys, although they're villains, they all stepped up. And the Mad Thinker didn't count on that, and when it looked like all the chips were down, all the villains sort of burst out there and help out with the situation. So it was a good story, but definitely a filler story. And I am interested as to what's going on with this Galactus stuff. I want to see that.
Same. Yeah, you know what? I wish I had picked this up in issues and I didn't drop it. This has been I still really enjoy Ryan North's run on Fantastic Four overall. I think it's a really solid run, and I'm glad that you remembered to talk about this, because I almost forgot. I actually really like this issue. I really like the twist of the Thing saying that he showed like empathy towards like some of the villains sometimes where they were down on their luck. Like he actually gave them a chance to like, like do better for themselves in like certain situations and like make another choice and like not always take them to jail. And therefore, as a result, they let him in a little bit to the point where he was able to ask them of this favor. That whole kind of twist with the story, like going that way at the end, I actually thought was really nice and really kind of speaks to the character that he is. And also just like, it was I liked seeing the Black Cat stuff as well, like, and and Johnny asked Wyatt Wingfoot, like the fact that they're the Fantastic Four, they're like the one group of people I feel like that actually are pretty good people within the Marvel universe that could ask for help from their friends, you know what I mean? Like, if it's the X-Men, then maybe not, but like, I don't know, I find that they're just like a more likable team. Like they don't have all the problems of mutants, let's say, right, where they have to worry about that kind of stuff that they do. So it was interesting to see them all kind of come to their aid in this issue. I think it really it was a nice story. Despite it being a filler issue, I really liked this one, actually. It was very good. So what'd you give this?
I give it 3.75.
I might give this a 4 too. Yeah, I liked it. I especially the end with the villains. Amazing Spider-Man 20, Chris. Yeah. And this is our last issue now. Here we go.
Got my issue here. Marvel have been slowly kind of filtering through my LCS. But yeah, fine. This is the comic I got to get. Come on. I'm getting tired of, what's his name? The Goblin and all, or whatever, Harry Osborn and all this stuff. Let's get back to business here. I don't know what's happening, really. I don't even remember kind of what's going on in here. The Spider Slayers are out there, or the Goblin Slayers, and what those kids show up. I don't know. Maybe we'll take it from here. It was a very unmemorable comic. Yeah,
and I gotta side with you, Chris, in your usual criticism of Romita. This is some of the worst Romita art in the run so far. This is way too much stuff going on in this issue, and this was actually like, I don't know if Romita like drew this in a week in between things or something, because like this is some of
his strengths, that's for sure.
No, and then for that, and then even for Romita, this looked rushed to me. Like this was like not his best work by far. You can not even like his stuff, and I would say he's done way better issues than this. This was just
half the comic. Like, wasn't the other half Todd Knock or something?
It was only like a third of the Todd Knock, and it wasn't enough to save the issue. It was him and somebody else. You actually had two different artists to draw the last bit of this. So like, that's what I mean. Like this was just a mishmash of different art styles. And then like when the big fighting happened, it got way too busy for John Romita Jr. You couldn't tell what the hell was going on in these pages at one point. It's just like all this robotics flying all over the place. And I'm just like, what is going on? Like this, there's some bad pages. And then he drew Harry Osborn as a kid, and it looked terrible. Like, Jesus, what's going on here? This is like some
like a few panels about Ben Riley, and he just basically walks out. Like, there's no reason why he was there to begin with, and then there's no reason why he's leaving. He goes, I think I've had enough of living his life.
That's pretty much what he did. He was just like, let's go. And he grabbed his girlfriend. He's like, I've had enough of this. And he's like,
he's on the verge of like going back the next day to do some sort of big special test. And I guess that guy that did the special test, he
fucked up.
It looks like he's going to turn into some sort of villain, because I imagine
of course
that's the way you get powers, of course. Yeah,
and he's going to blame Peter, of course, because that's how it goes. Not a good issue. Terrible issue. I agree with you. This is all the spider people came to play here too and tried to help them. And then, I guess all this fallout of whatever happened here with Oscorp and everything else. Like, I guess when Peter comes back to Earth, and then Harry Osborn looks like he's dying at the end of this issue. That's what happens. He kind of, of course, he's there with the Gwen from another universe saying to her, we get it. You're there with a Gwen, and you're the one who killed Gwen. And, here you are dying out after saving her.
I remember some other stuff now. Then we have Aunt May True trying to get the meeting with Harry Osborn, and, the receptionist was giving her a hard time.
Yeah, they were dicks to her.
Then, of course, that didn't turn out to anything.
But that's the thing.
Even this stuff with the kids telling Harry, it doesn't matter who you were, it's who you are now. It's like, do you remember who he was? This guy was out there freaking killing millions of people all the time.
Well, that's the thing. They don't have the history with this guy as Spider-Man does. Like, they don't. Like,
Yeah, they have the internet. They can freaking read up. Let's see what the Green Goblin was up to. Oh my God, he's responsible for all this. Oh, he killed Gwen Stacy. Whatever.
Right. I know, it's ridiculous. This is a bad issue. What did you give this?
Yeah, 3.5.
Nah, I might even go 3. I really dislike this issue with the art and the story. Maybe I'll go 3.25. I'll stick to that. All right, that's what we've been reading this week that we want to talk about here. Before we give our favorite book of the week, let's talk about what we're looking forward to picking up next week.
Let's see here.
And that's the 28th of January 28th.
We've got a bunch of Absolute books coming out next week, don't we?
Yeah, Batman and Wonder Woman, I believe.
Yeah, Batman's the part 2 of the Batman Wonder Woman sort of crossover, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so looking forward to that. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe go ahead first, and I'll see if I can bring up my list.
Absolute Batman 16, Absolute Flash 11. Yeah, that didn't come out this week. Oh, okay, maybe it's and Wonder Woman 16, Absolute Wonder Woman 16. What else do we got here?
Yeah, looks like I got Superman 34.
Yeah, that too for me. Reading that.
I think that's about it for DC for me.
Detective Comics 1105. I have. If you're interested, I think Flash 29 is still a DCKO tie-in. Harley Quinn I'm picking up. I won't be talking about it on the show. Justice League Unlimited is next week as well. And yeah, Superman 34 is one I'm reading. Harley Quinn Elvira number 4 comes out next week.
Oh, right.
Image. I think there's a lot of Image books I have. Oh, Bug Wars. They have a one-shot special that's coming out in between the next arc. Bug Wars, the Spider Witch special. Might check that out. Capes number 3. Creep Show comes out next week. Drawing Blood number 10. Finally, it should come out. Final Boss. I don't know if I'm still reading that. G.I. Joe 18 comes out. Kea 33. Skinbreaker 5, Chris.
Yep, nice.
Void Rivals 26. Wrestle Heist number 2. Youngblood 3, Chris. I don't know if you're still picking that up.
Yep. I can see what people are talking about, though.
Amazing Spider-Man Annual. I don't think I'll be checking that out. Infernal Hulk number 3. That's been good. Iron Man number 1, Chris.
Yeah, some covers there. I don't know about this Iron Man, but I'll give it a go. I think I have number 1 on my pull list.
Same. Punisher Red Band, the last issue of that comes out. Sorcerer Supreme 2.
Yeah.
I think that's about it for Marvel that I see.
We have Ultimate Spider-Man 24 coming out next week.
Which one?
Ultimate Spider-Man, or has that been pushed into February now?
No, that's been pushed. I don't have it on my list for next week now, unfortunately. But yeah, I think that's about it. I mean, I think I mentioned all the things we might be checking out next week. Unless you have anything else.
I think that's it.
Okay. So not too bad of a week. All right, but this week, our favorite book. Oh, I forgot to show off this cover. I got this. They did a reprint of Absolute Batman Annual, and they got a different Daniel Warren Johnson cover here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Give it to it. So, best comic of the week. I don't know. I think I might have to give the Alien versus Captain America again.
You read my mind, buddy. We still every week we pick the same one for the new year so far. I feel like we have. That's my favorite of the week too. I didn't pick that one up, but absolutely, it's so fun. That was what I was gonna say is my favorite of the week. I the great issue. I think we've been on point. I think we've picked the same book for the first 3 weeks so far of the new year.
I think we've been a good week though. There's really not many bangers that came out this week. This was more a lot about. There's a lot of volume from Marvel this week, but not really much substance. You know, I remember when we went over the list of what's out next week from Marvel last time. It was like boom, 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 boom. But there was really nothing that was sticking out.
Yeah, I mean, just after just talking about it, maybe Fantastic Four would have been my runner-up. I also liked New Avengers, but I don't know about that. Yeah, I think this is the clear winner, like you said.
Yeah.
You know, Exquisite Corpses is always fun, but I don't think this is like the best issue of that either. Yeah, I think this is the clear winner. Maybe Fantastic Four would have been my runner-up because I really did like that. So, yeah, that's about it. Honestly, not too much else out there this week. So yeah, maybe you're right. But no, I still do think this is really fun though. I really like Alien versus Captain America. I just don't think it should work yet. It is.
Yeah. I feel like the next time the series comes out, I'm going to go all in, or not go all in, but I'll pick it up line, think it's going to be great. I'm going to get busted again. So I'm still very weary, even though they have a good record running.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, that's the thing. You know, there's going to be another character after this one, right? So I guess we'll see. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week, guys. Like I said, make sure to check out future episodes. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can check out our new solicitation video as well. And stay tuned. Always another week of comics to talk about. And check us back next week, as always. All right. Thank you, Chris. And thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
There. Take care.